Revealed, the incredible journey of a black homeless man who transformed into a racing legend. Jamal's life was drowning in uncertainty, lost among the towering city buildings that surrounded him. A once proud mechanic and devoted father, he watched the world from the shadows, tattered shoes on rain-slicked streets, fading memories of joy now piercing his heart like shards of glass. Every day, he searched for shelter in alleyways that were drenched in the laughter of families enjoying life just beyond his reach. Life pulsed around him like an electric heartbeat, but he felt more like a ghost, wandering through the vibrant city, invisible and alone that he was a king dethroned, memories of racing with his father, the thrill of speed fueling his dreams. Those days, they'd sit side by side, eyes wide as they cheered for their heroes, felt the tremor of roaring engines. The adrenaline ran through him then, vibrant and alive. Now, that dream was buried under layers of despair. Yet, a whisper, just a flicker, broke the bleakness of his routine when he stumbled upon a gleaming flyer outside the community center. A grassroots racing competition was looming. Hope surged through him like a storm. This could be his chance. If he could just race, just once. It wasn't just about glory, it was about giving Maya, his daughter, a reason to smile again. But with the dark cloud of prejudice hovering over him, Jamal felt the weight of disapproval from strangers whose disdain was sharper than any tool he'd ever wielded. He shook it off. He wouldn't let them define him. What if he reminded them of their own shortcomings? He had dreams too. Those dreams wore old, scuffed shoes like his, but they saw beyond the surface. Jamal began preparing for the race. Day after day, he scavenged for parts, piecing together bits of discarded dreams, and while he faced grueling obstacles, the memories of his daughter's laughter pulled him through. "Keep going, Dad," she would say if she were here, her voice like warm sunshine. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. A swarm of emotions danced within Jamal as he encountered the other racers. Some were supportive, offering advice and mentoring him. He felt buoyed by their camaraderie. Yet, others rolled their eyes, particularly one racer, a spoiled kid from the city's richest family, who made it clear he believed Jamal was a joke. The rivalry fueled Jamal's fire, but it was also a stark reminder of the disparities they both faced. Tension brewed as the race day crept closer. Would he secure a vehicle? Would Maya's mother remove her support in his moment of need? Doubt gnawed at him. But just when he was ready to break, those riders who recognized his spirit stepped in, igniting a spark of determination deep within. Standing at the starting line, engines growling, Jamal felt the shift. The roar of the engines matched the cadence of his heartbeat. This was it. Everything he loved, everything he fought for, lay just beyond the finish line. Could he transcend the barriers of race and class? The world watched with bated breath. Jamal had a chance to prove that true worth lies in perseverance and spirit. Would he grasp that chance or let it slip away like so many dreams before? The engines roared, and so did his heart. A moment of clarity amidst the chaos. The race was about to start. The world seemed to stretch into slow motion as Jamal gripped the steering wheel, feeling its determination vibrate through his fingers. Adrenaline surged through his veins like a rushing river, drowning out the voices of doubt and fear that had haunted him. The starting flag waved, and he launched forward, tires screeching against asphalt. Every racer was a blur, but Jamal focused on the road ahead. The initial rush felt like freedom, the kind he hadn't tasted in ages. With each turn, his childhood memories surged back, the sound of his father's laughter echoing with the roar of racing engines. Imagine if he could win. What would Maya think? Her eyes sparkling with pride could ignite a warmth that even the coldest life on the streets couldn't take away, yet it was long before that warmth began to flicker. The rich kid, Blake, was riding dangerously close on Jamal's tail, and every whip of his hair reminded Jamal of the life he wished he could forget. Blake swerved, edged ahead, and tightened his grip on Jamal's emotions. Anger bubbled beneath the surface and threatened to consume him. Could he let this kid see him falter? No way. The track twisted, and Jamal took a sharp turn, finding a sliver of an opening. His heart raced as he pressed the pedal harder, feeling that familiar thrill. He could almost sense the dreams fluttering in the air like butterflies, taunting him with their fragility. This wasn't just about racing, it was about proving every naysayer wrong. Ahead, a sharp curve loomed, forcing the racers to lean into their cars. Jamal felt his body angle into the turn, the G-forces pushing him deeper into the seat. Time dulled around him, the sound of the roaring crowd faded, and it was just him and the asphalt, chasing a dream that felt as distant as the stars. Then it happened, a sudden, shocking silence followed by chaos. One racer swerved, catching another off guard. Metal crunched against metal, and the sudden flash of crashing vehicles erupted into a cloud of dust and smoke. The scene was raw and terrifying, but Jamal was pushed forward by instinct. Others began to slow, worried for the fallen. But not him. This was his moment, and he wouldn't hesitate now that he dodged the wreckage, heart pounding like a drum, and surged ahead. Cheers mixed with gasps from the crowd, each sound whipping through his mind in a frenzy. Jamal's vision narrowed to a single-point victory was just within reach. As he pulled into the final stretch, every ounce of energy coursing through him, he could see the finish line glowing like a beacon. With fierce determination, he raced toward it, feeling the weight of every struggle lift ever so slightly. The finish line approached, and he could almost imagine the embrace of his daughter waiting for him, her smile bright and unwavering. But just as the end was almost in sight, there was a screeching sound from behind. Blake had regained speed and was charging forward in a last-ditch effort to pass him. Jamal clenched his jaw, refusing to back down. Would he defeat not just the race, but also the ghosts that taunted him? The finish line was just ahead, the world was a blur, and time seemed suspended. Would persistence triumph over privilege? His heart raced as he reached a split-second decision. Would this be his moment to shine, or yet another chance lost? The roar of engines filled Jamal's ears, a symphony of competition and determination. He pushed the accelerator down, the car launching like a bullet down the straightaway. The finish line was so close now, a thin ribbon of hope gleaming in the distance. With every ounce of willpower, he leaned into the curve, feeling the familiar racing rhythm guide him. The adrenaline pumped fiercely. If he could just maintain this edge, he might just win. But then Blake's car, a sleek machine of power, surged beside him, threatening his space. Jamal felt anger flaring again, a heat rising in his chest. He wouldn't let Blake's privilege overshadow his grit. Senses heightened, Jamal remembered the late nights spent learning about engines, the countless hours he and his dad tinkered away, dreaming of this moment. Memories of struggle mixed with aspirations, fueling his drive. He glanced quickly to his side, their eyes met for a split second. Blake was not just racing, he was also mocking, that smug look revealing everything Jamal had worked against. Then, as if time itself held its breath, Jamal maneuvered to the left, cutting off Blake just enough to assert his dominance again. The roar of the crowd swelled, an amalgamation of cheers and gasps. It felt unreal, intoxicating. Yet, the weight of the race was heavier now. The reckless crash behind him faded slowly, but it still loomed in the corners of his mind. He knew he wasn't just racing for himself, he raced for those who never got the chance. Just then, the tires of his car caught a slick patch, a momentary slip that sent his heart into his throat. He fought the car to stay in control, gripping the wheel tighter, determination etched on his brow. A shout from the crowd pierced the chaos, urging him forward. "Go, Jamal!" The voices he cherished infused him with newfound strength. Blake's vehicle roared back, inching closer again, like the threat of failure. Jamal focused on the horizon, willing himself to visualize winning. It was a place where dreams turned real, where a father's pride and a daughter's smile complemented one another. He angled his car like a knife slicing through the wind, a last push towards the finish line. Every vein in his body sang for victory as they barreled down the final stretch together. Jamal's heart hammered against his ribcage. What if he lost? All the sacrifices, the struggles, the moments of doubt would echo in his mind. He couldn't allow that. In a sudden burst of energy, he pushed past the threshold of fear. It was decision time. It would either be him or Blake. The finish line loomed like a sanctuary. There it was, like a beacon of all he had fought for. It wouldn't slip away. Then, with a surge of spirit that felt nearly divine, Jamal let out a fervent cry, the sound swallowed by the roar of engines, and pressed the pedal down once more. He shot ahead, gaining that precious fraction of speed to put him just inches in front of Blake. As he crossed the finish line, a wave of disbelief washed over him. The cheers erupted, but he could barely hear them. The triumph blurred with exhaustion, and all he could think about was Maya's face, her laughter echoing in his mind. Had he really done it? But below the cheers and the celebrations, a storm brewed inside. Jamal could sense that behind every win, there were still untold battles. What awaited him after this moment of glory? To find out, he would have to face the ghosts that came rushing back, reminding him that victories on the track were only pieces of a much larger race. The overwhelming roar slowly began to fade as Jamal parked his car, dimming to a distant hum. The weight of the victory pressed against him, heavy and intoxicating. He stepped out, heart racing, his skin glistening with sweat under the bright glare of floodlights. Cheers surrounded him, a wave of sound that felt both exhilarating and suffocating. Maya! He shouted into the crowd, scanning the faces flickering in the spotlight. And then, there she was, her small figure bouncing with excitement. She fought through the throng with determination, eyes lit with pride. When they locked eyes, a rush of warmth flooded through him. Everything he raced for, the dreams, the sacrifices, was anchored in her smile. As she reached him, Jamal knelt, pulling her into a tight embrace. Together, they stood in that moment, the noise around them fading. "You did it, Daddy. I knew you could." Her voice rang in his ears, sweet and pure, filled with belief that he'd once forgotten. But as the immediate joy swarmed, a quiet thought nagged at the back of his mind. What now? That question was a whisper buried beneath the roars of celebration, a stone heavy in his gut. Winning was a triumph, yes, but it felt like just one piece of a more complex puzzle. Blake's car clattered to a stop several yards away, and Jamal caught sight of the other driver stepping out. The look on Blake's face was a mix of disbelief and fury, a potent mix fueled by ego and expectation. Jamal felt a surge of empathy, a fleeting thought about how Blake's life wasn't as easy as it looked. The pressure to be perfect weighed heavily on him too. "Let us go celebrate." Maya tugged on his hand, her excitement infectious. Jamal forced a smile, but his heart remained heavy. He'd won a trophy, but so much remained unsettled. In the haze of celebration, as friends and fans bellowed his name and snapped pictures for social media glory, Jamal slipped away, seeking a quiet corner away from the chaos. He leaned against a cold metal railing, breathing in the cool night air. A knot of anxiety twisted in his stomach. He thought of the people who had cheered him on, but also of those who weren't, their friends lost, dreams dashed. What did this win mean without the acknowledgement of those precious moments? The crowd's cheers were a murmur in the distance as memories flooded back like shadows hanging on the twilight. He recalled those nights spent dreaming under the stars, the hope that fueled every challenge faced. His heart weighed with the knowledge that now he had to confront the past he had tried so hard to outrun. "Hey," a familiar voice interrupted his thoughts. It was Marcus, an old racer friend. "You good, man? You just won." Jamal forced a grin, trying to brush aside the lingering doubts. "Yeah, just taking it all in." Marcus leaned against the railing beside him. "You know this is only the beginning, right? You're gonna go further than you ever dreamed." "Yeah, but what if I'm not ready for that?" The question slipped out before he could stop it. A silence stretched between them, heavy and contemplative. Marcus finally spoke, life's not about what we anticipate. It's about facing what comes. You've already transformed, just see where this takes you. Those words lingered like embers in Jamal's chest, igniting something within him. All at once, he felt a wave of clarity wash over him. He had climbed a mountain, but why fear the view from the top? Maybe it was time to confront the shadows head dash on. As they walked back to the crowd, Jamal caught a glimpse of Blake again. The other racer had stripped away the bravado, revealing a vulnerability. Jamal's heart clenched. Was it defensiveness or humanity he saw? He found himself longing for a moment to connect, to understand the struggles Blake bore underneath that facade. Maya, oblivious to the tumult of emotions swirling around her father, tugged at his sleeve. "Can we go home, Daddy? I want to show you something." Jamal looked down into her bright eyes, her innocence reminding him why he raced, why he fought against odds. "Yeah, let us go home." But as he turned toward the direction of their lives that remained uncharted, a chilling thought crept into his mind. What awaited him when he returned home? As they walked away from the cheers, the stakes felt higher than ever. Each step forward was no longer just about racing, it was about the real journey ahead. Little did he know, the revelations that would strike next would change everything again. The car ride home felt longer than usual, the silence between Jamal and Maya filled with unspoken questions. Maya leaned against the window, eyes sparkling with the reflections of streetlights, but Jamal was lost in a whirlwind of his thoughts. Winning was meant to propel him forward, yet it felt like a tether anchoring him to the past he thought he had left behind. "Daddy?" Maya's voice punctured his thoughts, innocent and full of curiosity. "Can we have pizza tonight?" Jamal smiled softly, warmth creeping back into his chest. "Of course. Your favorite, right? Pepperoni." She squealed, clapping her hands. That simple joy tugged at his heart. As they pulled into the driveway, Jamal's nerves tightened. Home was supposed to be a sanctuary, but a shadow loomed over him. The thought of what was about to be revealed felt heavy, like a fog threatening to envelop him once more. He inhaled deeply, willing himself to embrace whatever awaited him inside. He opened the front door, and the familiar scent of their modest home washed over him, still mixed with the remnants of the last night's takeout and freshly baked cookies from Maya's latest baking escapade. But as soon as he stepped in, a note on the counter caught his eye. It was handwritten, a messy scrawl that he recognized instantly. "Jamal, we need to talk. It's important." Mom. His chest tightened. The peaceful feeling dissipated like smoke in the air. He turned to Maya, who was already peeling off her shoes and bouncing toward the kitchen. "I'll put on some music," she chirped, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing. "Sure, sweetheart," he replied, forcing a calm he didn't feel. Jamal approached the note, heart pounding like a drum. He felt as if the walls were closing in. He needed to know what was coming, but a part of him wanted to turn back and escape. Instead, he folded the note and slipped it into his pocket, then walked to the living room where Maya was dancing, twirling to the cheerful beats playing on the speaker. "Look, Daddy. I can do spins." She laughed, radiating joy. He couldn't help but smile back, her spirit alight in his unsettling darkness. "Very impressive, my little superstar," he said, clapping along to the rhythm, trying to match her joy. The music filled the space, cascading off the walls, but beneath it, Jamal's thoughts churned. His mother would never interfere without reason, and he could only speculate on what had prompted her urgency. "Maya?" he called, suddenly conscious of his daughter, a new level of protectiveness washing over him. "How about we make that pizza together? Let us add some secret ingredients." Her eyes widened with excitement, as she paused mid-spin. "Can we add extra cheese and olives?" "Definitely," Jamal replied, grateful for the distraction. "We'll make it the best pizza ever." As they moved into the kitchen, he felt the warmth of the oven wash over him, grounding him in the moment. He started gathering the ingredients, relishing the ease of this ordinary task. Just as he pulled the cheese from the fridge, a sudden knock on the door startled him. Jamal exchanged glances with his daughter. I can only hope it's not what I think it is, he thought. He hesitated, dread building. What could possibly unfold on this night meant to celebrate his triumph? Stay here, okay? He said softly, trying to keep his tone casual. Maya nodded, her face a canvas of innocent curiosity. With a deep breath, Jamal moved toward the door, his heart hammering in his chest. He opened it slowly, the creak echoing ominously in the silence of the house. Standing there was someone he hadn't expected, a figure from his past, shrouded in memories that he thought he had buried for good. Jamal, the voice murmured, heavy with emotion. We need to talk. It's about your mother. A wave of fear swept through him. Was this what he'd been trying to avoid? It was only the beginning of a night filled with revelations he never saw coming. Jamal stood frozen, heart pounding in his chest like a drum, as he stared at the person in front of him. Every fiber of his being screamed to slam the door shut, to retreat into the comforting chaos of the kitchen where Maya was blissfully unaware. But the figure lingered, eyes filled with a mixture of nostalgia and urgency. Evelyn. He finally managed to whisper, not wanting to summon the past but unable to stop the name from escaping his lips. She stepped closer, her presence pulling at old emotions he hadn't dared to revisit. I know it's been a long time, she said, voice cracking slightly. But I really need to talk to you about your mother. It's important, Jamal. His mind raced. Memories of shared laughter and painful goodbyes drifted through his thoughts. What do you mean? What happened? The very question felt heavy on his tongue, like lead sinking into the depths of his being. Evelyn hesitated, and for a moment, the world around them fell silent. Jamal risked a glance back into the house at Maya, now humming to herself, flour dusting her face like confetti from a celebration. She looked so innocent, so far removed from the brewing storm just outside their door. Can we talk inside? Evelyn prompted, eyes darting to the window as if the shadows had ears. Jamal clenched his fists, the tightness in his chest growing. He had a choice: to shut the door, sealing the past away, or to let it flood back into his life like a raging tide. After what felt like eternity, he stepped aside, reluctantly inviting her in. Thanks, she murmured as she stepped over the threshold. The tension between them crackled, as if the air itself were heavy with unsaid truths. As they moved toward the living room, he couldn't bear the silence any longer. What is going on with my mom? Evelyn took a deep breath, navigating her words carefully. She's not well, Jamal. I found out a few weeks ago she wanted me to come to you. There are things you need to know. About her past, about your family. The sudden weight of her words felt like a punch. Jamal's world tilted. He dropped onto the couch, his mind battling disbelief and concern. What kind of past? I thought we were done with all that. Things don't just disappear. They linger. Wishful thinking shattered as her gaze held firm. Your mother is scared, Jamal. Scared. The word sat uncomfortably in the air. Fear had chained him to a history he was trying to outrun. He could feel his heart thudding in rhythm with the memories of what they'd overcome, yet the thought that there might be more to uncover twisted his gut. Maya, he began, glancing toward the kitchen. I can't let her get hurt again. Evelyn followed his gaze, her expression softening. You've become a father. You know what it means to protect. But there are some truths we can't shield our kids from. They will find out one way or another. What do you mean? He asked, urgency rising in his tone, but she merely shook her head, holding back explanations that felt like they were stuck in a riddled maze. You need to be prepared for what's ahead, Jamal. As Jamal grappled with her words, their cryptic nature rattling him, Maya's laughter spilled from the kitchen. It cut through their heavy conversation, a reminder of what was at stake. Protecting his daughter felt paramount, but the prospect of diving into a past fraught with pain felt equally daunting. Just then, a phone buzzed on the coffee table, interrupting the moment. It displayed a message from his mother. The screen glowed with urgency. Jamal, please. His breath caught. Now he was facing a choice more significant than before. Would he confront the shadows lurking from his mother's past, or continue to shield Maya from a truth that may ripple through their lives? In that moment, he realized he was standing at the edge of a decision, but the path forward was about to curve into something unexpected. Jamal, Evelyn's voice pulled him from his spiraling thoughts. You can't run from this. Trust me. As he prepared to read the message from his mother, the weight of what was to come loomed larger than ever. What new truths lay ahead, ready to change everything he thought he knew? The night was just beginning, and so too was the journey into a past he could no longer ignore. Jamal stared at the phone in his hand, grappling with the urgent plea from his mother. It felt heavy, as if it held the weight of all his childhood fears and unanswered questions. He glanced at Evelyn, whose eyes echoed a mix of sympathy and determination. This was more than just a call, it was a moment that could alter everything. Do I have to look? He asked, voice barely above a whisper. The question lingered in the air, charged with anxiety. Yes, Evelyn replied simply but firmly, her tone leaving no room for refusal. You need to know. He took a deep breath, the essence of his mother trapped in that little device. The world felt muffled, like a distant storm brewing, as he began to swipe the screen. Each heartbeat intensified the reality this was about to change everything. Looking closely at the message, he felt paralyzed. She is scared, Jamal, and you need to understand why. The words echoed in his mind, weaving into the thoughts swirling around. He pressed his thumb against the screen, coaxing it to open. A floodgate desired to open, and the truth might just pour out. Mom. He murmured, hesitating over the keys. He typed tentatively, wishing to soften the blow of whatever awaited him. What is going on? You can talk to me. As soon as he hit send, regret crept in. Maybe he wasn't ready. But there was no retreat now. Jamal, Evelyn interjected, drawing him back. This is about more than you. It's about the journey your mother took and how it shapes the one you have ahead. He looked into her eyes, searching for any hint of reassurance. The urgency on her own face mirrored his own tumultuous thoughts. Could his mother's journey intertwine with his, binding them in unbreakable ways? The phone buzzed again, prompting him to glance back down. A new message glowed on the screen. You have to understand what happened years ago, why I hid it all. Jamal felt emotion swell in his chest. The fabric of history threatened to unravel before him. Evelyn, I don't know if I can handle this, he confessed, the vulnerability coating his words. You're stronger than you think, she urged, stepping closer, as if to share the burden. You can't protect Maya forever by shutting doors. Sometimes, they must be open to let in light. The truth hit him like a wave, crashing through the dam he'd built for years. Maya's laughter echoed from the kitchen again, innocent and bright, painting the room with warmth. It reminded him of why he was battling these feelings in the first place. What if this destroys everything? He whispered, more to himself than anyone. The shadows of uncertainty loomed larger, whispering of losses he feared too deeply to confront. Or what if it brings you closer? Evelyn shot back, bold and relentless. You can't predict where this path will lead, but know that it's yours to navigate. He was on the brink, every instinct urging him to retreat into safety. Yet, here was Evelyn, pushing him gently toward the truth. His fingers hesitated once more over the phone, but determination surged within him. He chose a new path to seek answers instead of running. He took a breath and opened the message more fully, preparing himself for whatever lay ahead. Suddenly, a piercing sound shattered the tension. The doorbell rang, echoing through the house like an unexpected visitor inviting chaos behind the moments of clarity. Who could that be? Jamal asked, startled. Evelyn's eyebrows knitted together, concern knitting her features. It's late. We should check. Before he could respond, Maya stumbled into the living room, wiping her hands on her apron, joy dancing in her eyes. Dad, who's at the door? The intertwining of past and present tightened in his chest. The moment felt pivotal, like a story waiting to unfold. What if the truth can't wait, Jamal? Evelyn whispered, encouraging him to explore the unknown. His stomach twisted, but a flicker of resolve ignited within him. He could no longer avoid both the truth and its consequences. He had to meet them head-on. As he made his way to the door, another thought swelled dangerously close. What if opening this door changed everything forever? Whoever was on the other side could very well be the key to unlocking the family's enigmatic past. With each step, he felt the pulse of all he had built, and the looming uncertainty of what the next moment might hold. He steadied his breath, ready to discover what lay ahead not just beyond that door, but also within himself. Jamal reached for the door handle, the blood rushing in his ears making everything feel surreal. With a firm twist, he opened the door, and a gust of cool night air swept in, bringing with it a sense of both anticipation and dread. The sight that greeted him sent a jolt through his heart. Standing on the porch was a stranger, tall and imposing, wearing a long, weathered coat. A thick, grizzled beard framed a face that bore the weight of stories untold. "Excuse me, is this the Brooks residence?" the man asked, his voice low and gravelly. Jamal nodded slowly, searching the stranger's eyes for something familiar. But there was nothing recognizable there, just an intensity that made him feel exposed. Behind him, Maya peeked from the kitchen, her innocent curiosity palpable. "Yes, it is. Can I help you?" Jamal responded, trying to keep his voice steady, masking the unease that twisted in his stomach. "I'm looking for Jamal." "Jamal Brooks," the stranger declared, a hint of urgency threading through his tone. Jamal's breath hitched. "That's me. Who are you?" The stranger shifted slightly, glancing over his shoulder, then looked back with piercing eyes. "I'm here about your mother. She needs your help. You need to know the truth about what happened back then." The words landed like heavy stones, rippling through the quiet of the night. Instinctively, Jamal took a step back, fear rising. He glanced at Evelyn, who stood beside him, her expression a blend of worry and determination. "What do you mean?" Jamal managed to ask, though part of him wanted to shut the door and retreat into the comfort of the walls he had built. The man took a deep breath. "Your mother. She made sacrifices you don't know about. There's so much more to her story, to your family's story. It's time you learned it all." Maya wandered closer, sensing the tension. "Daddy, who is he?" "Just a friend," Jamal said quickly, though in his gut, he felt nothing of the sort. The man didn't feel like a friend, he felt like a catastrophe waiting to unravel. "You're not safe in the dark," the stranger continued, his voice a mix of firm and pleading, "and neither is your mother. You have to understand how everything connects. If you truly want to help her, you need to listen." Jamal's mind raced. Should he invite this stranger into his home? Shouldn't he ask for more identification? But a spark of empathy flickered within him. What could this man know that might bring clarity to the swirling chaos? "Can you prove it?" Jamal asked, his heart pounding with both fear and hope. The man nodded slightly, reaching into his coat pocket. He pulled out an old, faded photograph and extended it toward Jamal. "This was taken a long time ago. Your mother, your grandmother, and someone you might not expect." With hesitant fingers, Jamal grasped the photo and turned it toward the light. His breath caught in his throat, and a wave of confusion crashed over him. The faces stared back, familiar yet distant, memories he never knew. He had an older woman with kind eyes and a younger version of his mother, laughing freely, alongside a man whose presence stirred something deep inside him. Who is he?" Jamal gasped, his voice trembling. "That," the man said, "is the thread that ties everything together. You have to dig deeper than what's on the surface. This isn't just about the past, Jamal. It's about who you are meant to become." The truth lingered in the air like a breath waiting to be released, heavy with implications. Jamal looked at Evelyn, her eyes wide, reflecting his own confusion and curiosity. As the night stretched around them, the shadows deepened, and the gravity of the moment settled over Jamal's shoulders. He didn't know where this would lead, but he felt the pull of destiny calling him forward. "What's the first step?" he asked, uncertainty lacing his voice, but a newfound determination igniting in his chest. "First, we need to talk. And then you need to be ready for whatever comes next," the stranger replied, his expression solemn yet hopeful. Jamal glanced at the darkened street beyond their door, knowing that whatever lay ahead could shatter or reshape everything he thought he knew. With that thought echoing in his mind, he stepped aside, inviting the unknown into his home. The door creaked wider, opening not just to a person, but to a path he had been avoiding for far too long. Who knew what awaited him on the other side of those secrets? As the stranger stepped inside, the first thing Jamal noticed was the blend of dirt and weathered fabric that clung to him. The man's coat appeared ancient, much like the stories etched into his face. He took off his hat and shook loose strands of snow-white hair, revealing a battered but commanding presence that seemed to fill the room. "Sit down," Jamal said, gesturing to the worn couch in the living room, not sure whether he was inviting a guest or a storm ready to break. Evelyn lingered at Jamal's side, her hand clutching his arm, her pulse quickening at the palpable tension in the air. Once settled, the stranger leaned forward, his brown eyes sharp with purpose. "I know this is overwhelming, but your mother needs you. There are people looking for her and they won't stop until they get what they want." Jamal felt his heart drop. "What do you mean? Has something happened to her?" The man held up the photograph, the people in it swirling like memories taking on shape and substance. "Your mother is in danger because of secrets from the past, secrets that put you both in jeopardy. It's tied to the other man in this photo." He paused, his gaze fixing sharply on Jamal. "His name is Eli. He was your grandfather." Jamal blinked, momentarily caught between disbelief and an insatiable yearning to know more. "I never knew my grandfather. I thought he left us." Evelyn stepped closer, her brow furrowed. "What did he do?" The stranger took a breath, the weight of the story pressing down on him. "Eli was part of something bigger, something dangerous. It led to your mother making choices that haunt her to this day. Choices that left you in the dark. But there's a path to the light if you're ready to follow it." Maya, who had quietly approached, stifled a yawn, innocent of the heavy conversation swirling around her. Jamal turned to her, his protective instinct flaring. He wanted her to remain untouched by this burden, yet deep down, he knew that the truth would eventually seep into her world. "Just give me the truth," Jamal urged, his voice cracking slightly. "Please." The man's gaze softened. "You need to start with your mother. I've spent years tracking down pieces of this puzzle, but it always led me back to her. She cut ties to protect you, Jamal. But now it's time to confront the past. If you can uncover what Eli did, you might be able to save her." "What if we can't?" Evelyn asked softly, worry pulling at her features. "Then we face the consequences together." The man's voice held a hint of vulnerability now, a crack in the hardened exterior he had presented. The room was thick with silence as Jamal absorbed the gravity of the revelation. His mind raced, piecing together memories of his mother's hushed conversations and the shadow of her sorrow. He sensed the weight of her sacrifices pressing against him like a stone wall. "Where do I find my mother?" he finally asked, his voice steadier, fueled by a growing resolve. "She's not far," the stranger replied, folding the photograph carefully before handing it back to Jamal. "But she needs you to drive the truth out of her. When you do, be prepared, her past is dark and tangled, and more than your family's history is at stake." Jamal felt fire ignite within him. "I'll do whatever it takes." As the stranger nodded, a flicker of urgency crossed his face again. "Just remember, Jamal, we often discover ourselves in the darkest places. You need to hold tightly to the parts of you that matter." With that, the weight of mystery lay between them, daunting yet beckoning. Jamal cast one last glance at Evelyn and Maya, their faces reflecting the storm in his chest, that he was ready to dive into the depths of his past, ready to seek the truth and confront the shadows. But as he stared into the stranger's eyes, He realized the journey ahead would challenge everything he thought he knew about himself, and just before he stepped back into the night, a chilling thought crossed his mind: what if uncovering the truth about his mother led to more danger than he could ever anticipate? The next step felt imminent, like a swell building beneath the surface, ready to crash. Jamal stood at the edge of an emotional precipice, one moment away from facing a truth that could redefine everything. Behind him, his daughter Maya giggled, her laughter a shining light that threatened to dissolve his fear. Evelyn placed a steady hand on his shoulder. "Remember, you won't be alone in this," she said softly, her eyes reflecting an understanding. He nodded, grateful. The stranger had opened the door to pain and memories he'd long tried to evade. Now he stood poised to save his mother and face the secrets that had threatened to unravel their lives. With a deep breath, he turned to the man who had brought this awful truth to light. "Let us go find her," he declared, determination seeping into every word. The stranger nodded, his eyes glimmering with a mixture of respect and urgency. As they stepped out into the night, the chill braced Jamal like a rushing wind. The air felt different on the threshold of change, suffused with a sense of possibility. "Do you know where she is?" Jamal asked, glancing around at the unfamiliar neighborhood looming before him. "We can start at her favorite spot, a little cafe she used to love. She goes there when she needs comfort," the stranger replied, the familiar sensation of worry prickled his chest. "Why would she need comfort? What is this danger?" "It's complicated. But remember, she kept things from you to protect you." The stranger's voice was grave, yet gently reassuring. "Protecting me isn't always the answer. She deserves to have the truth out there in the open," Jamal asserted with newfound strength. As they drove, memories surged within him, the unwavering warmth of his mother's embrace, her whispered stories woven from the past. Although his heart ached, he felt an uplifting shift, the intuition that perhaps uncovering their family history could lead to deeper connections, not only with Maya but with the roots he had lost touch with. They arrived at the cafe, its hazy glow illuminating their path. The stranger led the way, each step echoing like a countdown, one step closer to the truth. As they entered, the rich aroma of coffee surged through the air, a bittersweet reminder of simpler times. There she was, sitting at the corner table, nursing a cup of coffee, her complexion pale yet familiar. Jamal's breath caught. The years had altered her, physically and mentally, but the warmth of her presence was undeniable. "Mom," he called softly, heart thrumming. She looked up, surprise blending with a touch of fear. "Jamal. What are you doing here?" The anger and confusion boiled in him but settled when he met her eyes. "We need to talk. I brought someone who knows everything." Evelyn stepped forward, a gentle assurance in her demeanor. Jamal caught the flicker of realization in his mother's eyes, the recognition that the past was no longer buried. "Everything will be okay," Evelyn said firmly. His mother took a shaky breath, searching their faces for answers. "You shouldn't have come. It's too dangerous." "No," Jamal interrupted, "it's dangerous if we don't face these things. You've protected me for too long. Now it's time I protect you." Tears shimmered in her eyes. "I didn't want you to know. I thought it would shield you from the pain." "What pain, Mom?" He pressed gently, earnest in his desire for understanding. "Your grandfather, Eli, he was a part of things I wish had never touched our lives," she whispered. "I made choices, Jamal, to save you." "But who were you saving me from?" Jamal asked, feeling the lump in his throat tighten. "From my mistakes," she replied, the weight of years pressed into her voice. "But soon, those mistakes will come knocking again." His hand trembled with the urgency of needing answers. What did he do? Time seemed to suspend around them, the noise of the cafe fading as if it were just the three of them in a vacuum of heavy air. "Eli made deals, dark ones," her voice quivered, revealing the pain of buried fears. "He was involved in dangerous circles and paid a steep price. Those connections they've never fully let go. I thought I could keep it all at bay by cutting ties and Starting anew. Stop running, Mom. Jamal interrupted, his voice fierce but laced with love. Tell me how to help you. With that, a new determination flickered in her gaze. We need to confront the past together. But it's not just you that's at risk. They know I exist. If they find me, they'll come for you too. At that moment, Jamal felt the burden of protection shifting. It was now about keeping their family intact, every heartbeat sparking strength within him. Then we fight this together. We can't let this define us. We've already overcome so much. His mother squeezed his hand, the warmth coursing through him filling every space left hollow by years of avoidance. As the stranger watched on, approval gleamed in his eyes. You're ahead of the game, Jamal. And now, you'll need to gather allies, connect with those people. The more you know, the more power you have. A surge of adrenaline coursed through him. They weren't just piecing together his mother's troubled past, they were standing together, ready to reclaim their future. Let us go home, Mom. Let us face this as a family. Together, he declared. Strong, unyielding. They rose together, a bond strengthening with every heartbeat. Maya peeked around the corner, grinning widely, blissfully oblivious to the struggles they were stepping into. Jamal reached out and scooped her into his arms. Ready to face the world ahead? Her laughter filled the air, light and buoyant as he carried her out of that cafe, back into the night that held a future where shadows had no place. He locked eyes with Evelyn. I know the path won't be easy, but we've got hope. And that's more than enough for us to fight. As they merged back into the flow of the city streets, Jamal felt invigorated. The road ahead was a jagged one, but he was no longer running. Together, they would dismantle the secrets of the past, all while gathering wisdom to create brighter tomorrows. Hope thrummed in his veins, the channels of family and history coursing through him and bringing with it the warmth of belonging. It was time to take the wheels back on their journey to discovery. As the night deepened, Jamal felt the impending dawn rise on the horizon, a promise that held all his lingering questions, and a path to an unexpected but transformative truth. Now it was time to embrace it with every ounce of love, heart, and determination. And so the journey continued, not just toward answers, but toward the flourishing of what they could become. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about this impactful ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support and let us keep this story going together.